Hey everybody, and welcome back to my top 100 board games of all time, the 2024 into 2025 edition of the list. Today I'll be talking through games 60 up to number 51. But before I get started on the games, I want to give a shout out to the show's sponsor, KIENDA.co.uk, who are my go-to online retailer. And if you use the link in the show notes or the QR code, then you can get 5% off your first order. Additionally, be sure to check out my new game THALAMUS that'll be available in 2025. But let's get started on the games. At number 60, I have High Society. This has been a real steady Eddie on my top 100 list for many years now. One of Knizia's most iconic kind of bidding games as you are managing this tight money or tight hand of money cards to purchase these scoring cards, but also to try and evade taking these very punishing cards as well. Some cool twists on this one where you can never get change from the cards that you're spending, and also whoever spent the most money at the end of the game will automatically be disqualified from winning. As clean as it gets, one of Knizia's best. That is High Society at number 60. At number 59, we're staying on the money theme here with The Rich and the Good. So this has been a steady climber for me, and climbing up from number 85 last year. So again, really has climbed the ranks here. A big part of that is because how easy this game is to just pick up and play. And for me, it's one of the purest examples of a commodity speculation economic game out there. So this one, you are trying to invest in these particular goods. Of course, spending money to purchase stocks in them. But I love the way that you can manipulate the market here, as you and your neighbouring opponents can draft cards from the same racks of cards in order to manipulate that stock price up or down. One card is going to go the full value, the second card is only going to go half the value. And of course, everybody has different investments and they're trying to push and pull these different commodities in different directions. One of my favourite things about this is actually a borrowed mechanism from High Society, where whoever has not donated the most to charity at the end of the game, or whoever's donated the least, will be automatically disqualified from winning. So quite interesting how these two games have landed up next to each other. But Rich and the Good, again, evergreen example of a great economic game. So that is Rich and the Good at number 59. At number 58, I have a complete return to the list with Deus. So this has actually been off my top 100 since 2022, where it had a pretty meager ranking of 139. So this one has come back with a bang. I just had the itch to get it back to my collection, and I'm glad I did reacquire it because this game is so good. And after playing so many games, I think maybe this one got lost in the shuffle at the time, but now I've given it the time of day. It is just an excellent engine builder as you are managing this hand of cards and resources, playing cards to get bonuses, and each time you play duplicate cards of the same colour, you'll also activate previous cards of that colour as well. So you're constantly getting better and better effects. You're increasing your kind of influence on the board, trying to surround these scavenger camps to score points, and getting points in lots of different ways depending on what those cards can do. So many options, especially if you introduce the Egypt expansion, and this one is going from strength to strength. So that is Deus, a great comeback at number 58. At number 57, I have Las Vegas Royale. Super fun dice rolling game as you're trying to roll a huge cluster of dice, select one of those pit values and allocate all of those dice onto the matching casino, trying to have the majority at the end of the round. If you and your opponent have the same amount of dice in that area, then they're going to cancel each other out and it's going to fall to the next person in line. Whoever has the most is going to get the most money, and so on. I love the extra modules that the Royale edition of this game introduces, where whenever you go to particular locations or casinos, then you'll get to play a little mini game that just completely amplifies the fun factor, and things such as higher or lower, and so on. So again, games within games here, super interactive, good back and forth, and I love the way that it has that kind of pure luck dice chucking fun mixed with a pretty cerebral area control game. almost an essential for me. That is Las Vegas Royale at number 57. At number 56, I have Terra Pyramides, which is the first new entry on this section of the list. So this is actually one of Kramer and Kiesling's most recent designs, and it goes to show that they are still putting out amazing games. This one is a real kind of Euro, or kind of throwback Euro really. It feels like a game that came out 20, 25 years ago, in a good way, and because of how simple the mechanisms are. This is like a tile placement game as you are trying to surround these pyramids to get bonuses. You're trying to build up rows and columns to get resources, to kind of keep on expanding these pyramids that you're controlling to get more and more points. A great interaction with the other players, as whatever you do will leave a fresh opportunity for them to capitalize on, but of course they are going to return the favor. Some good extra modules you can add in to increase the complexity, but I love that one tile system. Some good production here. Lots of different ways you can approach the game, and yeah, this one definitely came out of the left field for me. Wasn't expecting it to be half as good as it was or is, and it's really surprised me that nobody else is talking about this game, despite Kramer and Kiesling being so prolific and so well thought of. This one just seems to have flown under the radar. Maybe, again, it's a personal taste thing where these styles of games might feel dated to some people, but for me, it is one of the best tile placement games out there. Has a somewhat abstract nature, as you do have kind of meticulous planning you can do, but because you are restricted with only one tile at any time, your options are always going to be limited. But love this one. That is Terra Pyramides at number 56. At number 55, I have one of my favourite games from 2023 with Forest Shuffle. So this is a pure card game where you're trying to collect sets of animals and trees to score as many points as you can. Everything scores in a different way and synergizes with multiple other cards. And it's all about trying to optimally play as many of these cards as you can that will score off each other and keep on bouncing off each other to keep amplifying your points. I love the shared pool of cards here, as in order to play cards, you have to pay for them with other cards in your hand. But when you do that, the cards that you've paid, used to pay, are going to go into a communal row that can be drafted by other players. So there's a good back and forth and interaction in the sense that what's not useful to you might be very useful to somebody else, and you need to be aware of that so that you're not feeding into their scoring system as well. Wonderful game. Again, another evergreen for me. I think this is going to be a big hit for many years, especially if they continue to support it. Keep the game balanced with lots more scoring opportunities coming in. So that is Forest Shuffle at number 55. At number 54, I have Notre Dame. So like Deus, this is a game that has been off this top 100 for quite some time now. The last time this one appeared was in 2020, but I had the itch to reacquire this one, and I'm glad I did, because it was a stark reminder as to how good this game is. So one of Stefan Fell's lighter Euros, as you are drafting and then using those cards in order to keep on amplifying or increasing your yield of the strength of these actions, to score more victory points or to move around faster, collecting tokens, putting influence on Notre Dame as an area control mechanism. And I love the different ways that you need to, or you can approach this game by spreading yourself thin and being good at everything, or just being really good at one thing. I like this nagging tension of these rats coming to kind of plague you, and you need to counteract that by building up your immunity, by going up this other track as well. So lots of things you're fighting here and competing for, but it is all so well harmonized through that drafting system. And honestly, I can't say a bad thing about this one. So that is Notre Dame. Welcome back at number 54. At number 53, I have another Stefan Feld game with Luna. And I describe a lot of Feld games as being weird, but Luna might be the strongest example of that. It was a far out theme, and the mechanisms are just completely weird as you are manipulating these little disciples around these islands, getting magical items that will let you break rules and shift them around, trying to ascend them to this main palace in the middle to control different areas and kick your opponents off, start generating victory points, avoiding the apostle that goes around, trying to leech off the priestess by having the most people around her. So lots of things going on here. Again, no thematic ties whatsoever. It's completely weird, but it somehow works. One of these games that you need to really try rather than me explaining it to you. But if you like fell games, I'm pretty sure you'll like this one, despite it being so strange. At number 52, I have Assyria. Definitely one of my favourite of the Istari line of games, and a criminally underrated midweight Euro in my opinion, as you are trying to collect resources in order to populate this board. And in order to keep your influence on the main board, you need to constantly keep on paying them or keep on resupplying those particular locations. At the same time, you're building these temples to start generating your victory points, you're climbing tracks, and so on. So kind of a themeless, abstracted Euro, but one that is mechanically sound, if a little bit maybe mechanical at times, it may be a little bit procedural, but the decisions are really interesting, and I do like the way that everything in this game is always in flux. Once you've got something on the board, it's not like it's there permanently, apart from the temples. So you need to keep on kind of refilling your coffers to make sure that your presence stays there before someone else can kind of muscle in on your move. I need to play this one more. It's been a while since I've revisited this one, but every time I've played it, I've loved it. So that is Assyria at number 52. And the final game of this episode, at number 51, I have Citrus. Another older Euro, more of the abstract strategy style. It's kind of a hybrid abstract and Euro. This one, you are drafting tiles from this really cool drafting system, as you can take a row or a column. The more you take, the more expensive it's going to be. And then you're going to be building up around these different fincas, trying to surround them and score majorities. But the cool thing about this game is that whenever you start a new orchard, by placing these tiles, you need to commit one of your workers to that particular arrangement. And the frustrating thing is that your money quickly runs out, and in order to refill your money, you need to remove your workers from the board and put them back on your player board. And that can sometimes be a really agonizing decision, because you might have really invested in kind of building up a certain area, but you just can't manage to score that particular finca and can't get that guy back. So therefore, you're not ready to take him off, even though you have no money and you need to take them off. So it's, again, it pulls you in lots of different directions. The money management in this game is extremely tough to try and figure out. But I love that idea of, the fewer people you have on your player board and on the main board, the less money you get. But of course, you're more flexible on what you can place on the board at the same time. So again, a really underrated game. Again, if you like these tile placement games with area control, with that unique mechanism of managing your money and workers, this is a real cool game to check out that you can probably pick up for a very reasonable price. So that is Citrus at number 51. So there we have it, that concludes the video. Hopefully you have enjoyed this one. If you have, please be sure to hit like and subscribe to my channel too, and check out my other content. But for everybody else, I'll see you next time on Chairman of the Board. Bye bye.